Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I am Morgan, and today we're going to get just a little bit weird. This is a subject that I have wanted to talk about probably very heavily for months now. But honestly, I have been scared. I have wondered, is this topic too out there? Is it not witchy enough? Does it expose too much of just the weird shit that goes on in my head? And so for that reason, I've really held back on talking about it. But there have been a lot of things that have happened in the last few days and weeks that keep leading me back to this subject. So I finally said, fuck it. Let's do it. And yes, we're going to be talking about identity shifting for witches today. Okay, so for those of you who have been here before and you are familiar with my podcast, I do try to weave in witchcraft and witchcraft practices as much as possible. Okay, so no matter how far off in left field I start to go with metaphysical or psychological stuff, I'm going to weave the witchcraft back in. And you all know that, okay? If this is your first time here, welcome. This subject matter, I would say, is a little offbeat for me, but I do talk a lot about my journey on this podcast. I do weave a lot of my beliefs and what I've been working through, or concepts, belief concepts, mind shift concepts. I do talk about that a lot. So identity shifting is not so far out in left field. It's just something that is usually not talked about when it comes to witchcraft podcasts, or not talked about on witchcraft podcasts. Okay. So just know that, yes, we're going to be on a journey today. Most of my episodes do take you on a journey. We're definitely going on a fun journey today. Okay. And we're going to go off in left field. We're going to come back. It will revolve around witchcraft. I promise. Okay. But I love talking about things like this because identity shifting, I feel like, is extremely, what's the word? In today's society, today's community, especially like the witchy metaphysical community, I think it is highly understood, and I think it's almost a buzzword that's being used to mean something that it doesn't mean. Okay, so when I come into contact with concepts like this, I will tell you, at first I usually reject them. I'm like, that's stupid, until I experience it, and then that switch gets flipped on in me, and I'm like, oh, well, why didn't they explain it like this? So I do have a knack of explaining concepts, explaining things in a way that makes them extremely easily accessible to people and understandable to people. And that's why I do like talking about weird shit on my podcast. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about identity shifting, what it is, the problem with it. Yeah. How it plays into witchcraft, and, the thing about identity shifting that others are not telling you. Okay. There is a key to identity shifting that's pretty, that people seem to skip over, or if you are going through an identity shift, there's a very important key component that if you skip it, you're just going to backslide. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off with a nerd definition of identity shifting. And so what that is it's transforming your self-perception and beliefs to align with the person you aspire to become. Okay. So this is really big in like the life coach community. I think it has roots in like psychology. I'm not going to lie. I didn't do research behind identity shifting because to say I didn't care is probably the truth, which is why I'm laughing, because I've been on a journey, you guys. I've been on a journey. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm going to be explaining to you all what identity shifting is as from my standpoint, okay, from what I've experienced with identity shifting, from what I was taught about identity shifting. So this is one of those episodes where I didn't dive down into the, nitty gritty of it as far as like who came up with it or where it came from or anything. Okay. It is what it is. It's identity shifting. Okay. So, in metaphysical terms, it is also sometimes called like up-leveling, upgrading, becoming your authentic self. These are all the same terminology pretty much for the concept that is identity shifting. Okay. For example, let's say you want to be more health conscious. So in order to identity shift, you would think, what does a health conscious person do? How do they think? How do they feel? What kind of decisions do they make? How do they carry themselves? So basically, you visualize the person that you want to become, and then you're embodying the energy of that person, okay? So that you can make that happen. It's a key to manifestation. It goes crazy in like the wellness community, the life coach community, that kind of stuff. I will let you know now, and this is why at first when you hear this concept, if you reject it immediately, then hi, we're friends. There's a reason why you're here. Because to me, a lot of what if it's not done correctly, okay, and I'm going to share with you all how I deal with identity shifting. It comes across as fake it till you make it. And fake it till you make it doesn't work. Okay? I don't care what anybody says, it doesn't work. And even if I have said in the past that sometimes it can work, it may be sometimes work. So this is not like an all or nothing type thing. Sometimes fake it till you make it works. I guess it depends on the situation. But I'm going to say that, like, generally speaking, it leads to fake it till you make it. And for a lot of people, what fake it till you make it leads to is imposter syndrome. Like, oh my God, this is not who I am. Backsliding into old patterns of behavior, extreme frustration. So that is the problem with identity shifting. If it is not done correctly, if it is not taught correctly. Okay. And again, I'm going to give it a witchy slant, like as we go through today's episode. So, I think the best way to describe identity shifting is through example. That's another thing that, and again, side tangent, I'm going to have a lot of tangents. It's just who I am. A few months ago, I was introduced to human design. If you have not been introduced to human design, it's highly fascinating. In fact, it's similar to your astrological birth chart. So you would find a human design site, put in your, date of birth, your time of birth, your place of birth, and it prints out your human design. I find it to be eerily accurate, like probably a little bit more accurate than my astrological chart, in at least explaining things. So for me, just for those who do speak human design, I'm a 5/1 projector. And I had a brain issue for a second right there. Basically, there's two things I'm really good at. The first one is explaining concepts in extremely easily understandable ways. The second one is teaching through experience. So the easiest way that I can teach concepts is by explaining them how I've experienced them. So that's what you're going to get a lot of today in this episode. All right. So for me, identity shift, this is the most recent. This is what happened today, yesterday, like this week, that prompted me to be like, okay, it is time to talk about this on the podcast. Okay. So I have been recently, especially maybe the last few months, and laser focused for the last couple of weeks on being my authentic self all the time. Okay. Now, here on the podcast, y'all are getting me. Okay. Because, and I've said it in the past, I'm literally sitting here in my studio. I'm watching myself talk, which is weird. And then, I have a microphone. That's it. My brain doesn't think about what happens after this, So y'all are getting me. You're getting all my crazy expressions. You're getting, and I love this word. I've really been diving down into it. Feral. That is me. I am feral. I am wild. I'm unpredictable. My husband tells me all the time, I will just walk up to him, get very close to him, and he goes on guard because one time when I do that, I'll lean up and kiss him. And the next time when I do it, I will pinch his nipple and run off. I am feral. Okay. It is just my personality. So here on the podcast, and if you're in my Ink Spirit Coven, when I'm teaching, you all are getting me. Okay. You're getting my craziness. You're getting when things drop in, you're getting, I will say, even though I think I said it maybe last week on the podcast, I do so many things. I don't know where I talk anymore. I don't know where I say things. And now I even have 2 podcasts. And anyway, there is a little bit of censoring when it even comes to the podcast, I'll go to say something and then be like, oh, nope, can't say that. That's a little crazy. But for the most part, here on the podcast, y'all are getting me. Coven, definitely getting me. So my goal has been to be like this all the time. It does not matter the avenue. It does not matter the situation. And where I tend to hold back the most, where I tend to censor myself the most is social media. So when it comes to Instagram, I tend to focus on the business and make sure that that's covered. This product launch. Oh, this box theme. Oh, this live sales coming up, or, oh, we have this. And so I fill up the week when I'm scheduling social media with all of those quote unquote important things. They are, but they're all business things. Okay. And I tend to fill it with that. Then I will go, okay, what do I want to talk about? And so I might fill in those things. And I guess by the time I'm done with all of this, I'm exhausted. And I don't think to do stories, or I don't think to let people into my practice, or, who I am, or crazy thoughts that I'm having, So my goal recently has been to bring all of these parts of me together so that I am one person, regardless of whether you're meeting me in person, whether you're in my coven, whether you're watching or listening to the podcast, whether you're seeing me on YouTube, whether you are seeing me on Instagram. Okay. And to really show myself, show my crazy feral. Feral is such an amazing word. So that's what my goal has been. Okay. Just to kind of flip into a little bit of teacher mode, a witchcraft application of this, or the witchcraft equivalent of this, would be when you are casting a spell, you want to embody the energy of the person who has the thing you are casting a spell for. Okay, so if you are a person who wants a new job and you are casting a spell for a new job, if you can embody the energy of that person before casting the spell and during the spell, the person who already has that job, if you're embodying that energy, then that's going to make your spell even more powerful. Okay. It's going to add that done energy to your spell. So by the time you send it out into the universe, it's working its way super fast to come to fruition, because you have already embodied that energy of that person who has the job, has your dream job. Okay. So that's what I was trying to do. Right. Sorry, flipping the page. That's been my goal, is to embody this feral, authentic energy 24/7 and share it with the world. Okay. So I had a massage. That is one of my self-care things. My massage therapist is amazing. She's a witch. She does not know she's a witch, but she is a witch, because I go in one version of pain filled with knots and stressed, and I come out a completely different person. But I always make intentions when I go for my massage, okay? Because essentially, for me, I'm so deeply relaxed during my massage that I am in that state in between waking and sleeping. And that is the state for manifestation. That is an in-between state. And so on my way to her, I'm setting intentions for my massage, because generally then I want to just be in my massage and I want to be relaxed, and I don't want to be consciously trying to manifest something. So I set my intentions before I go. And then during my session, I'm open to receiving messages. I've had box themes drop in. I've had themes for Ink Spirit Coven drop in. I've had podcast episodes drop in. And so if there's anything I'm wanting to work on, or if there's anything I'm in the process of manifesting, I will set that intention. So I'm very close to the full moon. Like by the time this comes out, we will have already had the full moon. But the full moon in Libra is all about balance, but it's also about magical alignment. Okay. So it's the end of Venus retrograde, at the end of Mercury retrograde. This is the only time, like when this episode airs, no planets are retrograde unless you count Earth. Because what's going on, y'all? Okay. Anyway, no planets are in retrograde at this moment. If you're listening to this, I think it's until like May 4th. There are no planets in retrograde. Okay. So everything is your fault again. Sorry. I had to throw that in there. But for me, full power or full moons equal full power. Okay. So, during my massage, I'm within this full moon energy, and I'm like, okay, my intention is if the moon is at full power, I too want to come into my full power, integrate all these parts of myself into one authentic, feral, witchy, badass human being, and be that person no matter where I'm at, no matter what the situation. Okay. I want to embody my full power, my full energy. Okay. That's the intention that I set. The next morning, my future self, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, I will get to that too. They tested me. Okay. So this is now you're getting an inner look into my beliefs and how I view things when it comes to this. Okay. If you ever felt like you have finally made a decision to do something in your life, and then something pops up to make you question that, like, oh my God, am I being tested? You probably are. And I'm going to explain at least my beliefs behind that. Okay. When you want something, it's because that desire already lives within you. Okay. Otherwise you wouldn't have that desire. Okay. Do I have a desire to be an astronaut? I don't. Because there is no version of astronaut inside of me in this life. There is no astronaut version inside of me in the future. So I do not have a desire to be an astronaut. Okay. So if the desire lives within you, it is because that version of you that has that lives within you. Okay. I really hope I don't lose y'all here, because y'all are going to get the inner workings of my brain and what I have figured out for 25 years of magic and mindset and manifestation. Okay. Okay. So that a version of you that already has whatever you're desiring right now basically gets activated within you. And then you're given that choice. Like, oh, am I going to go after this right now? Like, is this a desire? I'm doing that. We're doing this. All right. So it is a choice. And please understand that it is always a choice. It may not seem like a choice because you may make it immediately. That desire hits and you're like, ooh, yeah, I want to do that. And you don't realize it is a choice. Okay. But it is. So you make the decision to take the steps towards being him or her, towards having that thing, towards being the person who has that thing. Okay. And what happens is you've made that decision. You start to do things as if you have that thing, right? Well, that version, that future version of yourself tests you to see, are you true this time? Or do you really want this? Or are you just saying you want it? Because if you really want it, it's here. But you have got to consciously make this decision that you're going to do it. You're going to be that person. You're going to get that thing that you want. Okay? So you can also view this as the universe, your higher self. A lot of people view it as the universe. They're like, oh my God, the universe is testing me right now. Okay, well, you can view it like that. I view it as the future version of myself that already has that thing is testing me. Okay, and it's not a bad test. Okay, so I'm gonna do another scenario, another metaphor, I guess. I'm gonna show my age right here too. Do y'all remember back in the day when you liked a person? And so you would write on a piece of paper, like, I like you, do you like me? And then there was like the little checkbox that had yes and a little checkbox that said no. And then you would fold up and you would pass to the person that you had a crush. Well, okay, you would pass it to a friend who would pass it to that person because like it couldn't come right from you, right? Okay. Like that's just too direct. So anyway, your crush would end up and then they would have to mark either yes or no and then fold it back up and pass it back to you in class. That is how I view this entire scenario. Okay. That is how I view all of this when it happens. Okay. Another thing you have to understand is your higher self, your future self, that version of you that has that thing you want, however you want to look at it, whatever resonates with you. They are your biggest cheerleader, okay? They want what's best for you. They want you to have your heart's desires, okay? They are excited for you. And so they have the biggest crush on you. So picture these little tests as your future self, your higher self, who has the biggest fucking crush on you. Writing on a piece of paper, do you really want this? Do you really want to manifest this? Check yes, check no. 2 little check boxes. They fold it up. They pass it to you, and that's your quote unquote test. And at that moment, you have a decision to make. You're like, oh, you unwrap it and you're like, oh my God. So I'm on the path for this. I'm on the path that gets me. Do I really want this? Yeah, I do. And so you check yes, you fold it up, you hand it back to your higher self, and you do the thing. You embody that energy. You do what you are being tested. You face it, okay? You don't have to say yes, okay? You can say no. It is all a comfort thing. It is all a timing thing for you. You have to do what you feel comfortable. It'll take you out of your comfort zone. Doing anything new takes you out of your comfort zone. But it's a conscious decision. And just always know that it is a conscious decision. And saying no is okay as well. Okay. In this entire scenario, I have actually pinpointed a shadow of mine of, I have certain control issues. Okay. And I have been in meditation. I've been shown ways to deal with these, and I don't want to do them flat out. I don't. So when I'm given that choice, I check no and I hand it back to my higher self and I say, we're not doing that today. I'm not ready. I don't want to. And they're like, okay, well, and just know that if you're meant to learn the lesson, you're going to learn it, So I go back to an episode where I talked a couple of weeks ago about the divine feminine, constantly telling divine feminine within me, like, oh, okay, you can, yeah, we're going to let you out. We're going to let you out. And then I didn't. So she fucking took over, she made me sick for a very, very, very long time, so some things are forced beyond your control. Sometimes you keep checking no, and then something comes along to say, well, you were given that choice. You didn't take it voluntarily, so now we're going to do it for you, okay? So getting back on track, okay? I view it as my higher self who has the absolute biggest crush on me ever. And just as a little bit of a side note, If you are not your biggest cheerleader, then you are still looking for validation and acceptance outside of you, and you will never find it outside of you. Okay? If you are not your biggest cheerleader, then what are you doing? I do mean to, for those of you who just, if it feels like I just slapped you in the face, I did it on purpose. I'm sorry. Okay? Because you have got to be your biggest cheerleader. You have got to, every idea that pops into your head, you have got to be like, fuck yes. Okay? It could end up being a fuck no later. All right? But you have got to be your biggest cheerleader, because that means that you have found validation and acceptance within yourself. You don't give a shit about people outside of you. So if you are constantly filled with doubt and fear, and you are not your own biggest cheerleader, then you are still looking for what it is that you want outside of you. You're still looking for other people to tell you it's okay. You're still looking for other people to be like, oh, no, you can have that. Do you really want it? You can have it. Or, oh, you're right. You're good. You're still looking outside of you, and the answers are all within you. Okay? That is a side note. Wanted to throw that in. It kind of like dropped in for me to be like, hey, talk about the cheerleader thing a little bit more. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, my future self, huge crush on me, sends me love notes, and I have a decision to make. Yes, check no, hand it back to them, and then do the thing or don't do the thing. Okay. So here's where I'm going. I'm telling you, we're going on a journey on this episode today. Okay. We're going on a journey. That night, the night of my massage, set the intention that full moon equals full Morgan power. Okay, that's the intention. So the very next morning, I get up. I woke up before my alarm. It's crazy. Anyway, woke up before my alarm. I was like, I want to go for a walk today. Put on my shit, snuck out of the house because it's well about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:10 in the morning. And it's Arizona, so the sun's already up. I head to the park like I always do. I'm walking around. And so we have a Christian group. I don't know what it is. I don't know where they come from. But every Friday, super early in the morning, they go walking through our neighborhood in a long line, like a line of people. It's always all women. It's always older women. And the first one carries a big old cross. And the second one carries a very graphic picture of Jesus on the cross. And then the other people are carrying various saint pictures. They've been doing this for years. I mean, as long as we've lived in that neighborhood, which is probably like I don't know, 7-8 years now. Early Friday morning, we see them walk by our house, go to the park. They do a lap at the park. They leave. I don't know where else they go. But this long line of women, they're singing, they're chanting. This long line of older Christian women is led by a white male. He stands off to the side and he tells them what to do. And that's what I fucking have a problem with, you guys. I don't have a problem with them getting up super early on a Friday to try and get people to go be with Jesus. I don't care. They don't bother me. They don't bother me walking and singing and going to the park and carrying the cross and showing graphic pictures of a man on a cross. It doesn't bother me at all. Okay. What bothers me is the long line of older women that's being told what to do by a old white man. That's what gives me pause. Okay. So I'm in my own world. I've got my earbuds in. I'm walking laps. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm doing my thing, and I look up, and there they are, and they're headed towards me because I apparently clockwise in my park, going clockwise around the loop is going backwards because everybody else goes counterclockwise, and it drives me nuts. I always go clockwise whenever I go into anywhere. Anyway, I don't know. It's a weird thing. So I look up and they're coming towards me. So I happen to look down and realize that morning of all mornings, I was wearing a shirt that said, "We are the granddaughters of the witches you couldn't burn." with a big old triple moon and a big old pentacle. And I have my jacket zipped up. So I realized this, and I am an asshole. So I had that note passed to me. My future self that said, you wanted to be feral. Here's your invitation. She passes me a note. Feral Morgan passes me a note that says, do you want to embody this? Check yes, check no. And in that moment, I said, fuck it, check yes, handed it back to her, unzipped my jacket, and started right towards him. And it was a bright yellow shirt too, like school bus yellow, okay? And I noticed that the first woman in line holding the cross sees it, and she just stops dead in her tracks, which causes the entire procession behind her to stop dead in their tracks. And she turns around, says something, they all kind of gather, and then the old man comes out from, I don't know where he was hiding, but he comes out, he sees my shirt as well, and gathers them all together for words as I am walking past them. Okay? Because I did it with flair, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I took that zipper, flung it down, and I flung the two sides of my jacket open, hands on hips, and marched forward. Okay? Just because. All right? Because I got that love note. I got that note from my crush, my feral Morgan self. She passed that note to me, and she said, do you like me? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I want to be you. Come on. All right, let's do it. So I get past and my heart is racing. Don't get me wrong. I did not do this nonchalantly. Okay. My heart is racing. I'm shaking. Nerves have hit me. Adrenaline has hit me. What the fuck did I just do has hit me. Right. So I get past them. And all of a sudden I get this second note from her. And it says, do you want to share this on Instagram to your followers? Because you said that you wanted to be your feral self to everyone. And I read the note and I said, God damn it, I did say that. Oh, I checked yes. And I passed her the note back. And I did a story on Instagram, which led to a couple of more stories on Instagram, just because I like talking. But that was it. That was the moment when I shifted. I shifted into feral witchcraft, feral witch Morgan, and that's what led me here today, to want to talk about identity shifting with you all and how I view identity shifting, and how once you begin to notice or to see the signs of identity shifting and you begin to get these love letters from your higher self, your future self, your universe, however it resonates with you, and you get this love letter from them and you're sitting there with this love letter in your hand, like check yes, check no, you have that decision to make. And then maybe now that you've heard it this way or heard it explained this way, you can start making decisions more quickly or more wholeheartedly, So that's the story. I'm definitely going to go into a little bit more here. I know this is going to be a long episode, but it's a fun one, right? So once you have that embodied energy, that up level, you feel it. You feel that shift within you, and when I got done, I was so proud of myself, you guys. I was like, oh my God, not only did I do that, I had some fun. Not only did I do that, but then I shared it on Instagram and I didn't give a flying fuck who saw it, So you have that up level, that embodied energy. You are feeling amazing. You are like, hell yes, this is the new me. I love this. I am so proud of myself, right? Now, this is what other people do not tell you about identity shifting. And honestly, it is one of the most parts of identity shifting. Okay. You're basically on an adrenaline high at this moment. So the key is you have to act as that version of yourself. But after you have made the decision, you've acted, you've done the thing to push through that barrier to up level, you have to regulate to your new normal. And that is what a lot of people don't tell you. A lot of people make identity shifting sound like, oh, once you shift, girl, you good. And then that is not true. Okay. It is not true. You will backslide so fast. I was getting ready. I had a very bad political joke forming in my head, but it's not that I'm holding back. It's that it wasn't quite formed. It was backsliding I don't remember. Anyway, if you do not regulate to your new normal, okay, but embody the energy, ground down into this new version of yourself and create safety around it, then you will backslide. You will fall back into old behavioral patterns. You will unembody that energy that you worked very hard to embody. Okay. When you embody that energy, you can confidently state, I am, and then whatever it is, or I have, or I do, or whatever it is. And it feels like home, which is what we were talking about last week on the podcast, which was witchy home, like creating that witchy home, that safety within yourself. Okay. If you don't do this, then every action moving forward is soaked in imposter syndrome, fear, doubt, whatever. This includes your spells. Okay. So if you think, all right, I've identity shifted. I've shifted into this new version of myself. Hell yeah, I'm riding this high. I'm going to go do this spell, do this spell. You will have that shit in the back of your head that's like, did we really shift? Like, are you sure you're this new person? Or like, are you going to just, become the old person again? And that's what happens when you go to cast spells, is you're casting from this place of doubt, of not knowing who you are. Okay. This is why you have to regulate to your new normal. Okay. So how do you regulate? How do you have this shift? You have this upgrade, this up level, whatever you want to call it. What I do, this is the ways I've found to regulate the easiest or the quickest. Number one, acknowledge the shift. 100%. I walked away from having done the little videos on Instagram, and I was like, I did it. I fucking shifted. I faced that fear directly in its face. I took the love letter from my higher self, my future self, and I said, fuck yes, and I did it. And I am so proud of myself. Okay, so acknowledge that you just shifted. Have pride in the fact that you just shifted. Have a sense of accomplishment. Celebrate it. Have a sense of, fuck yeah, I did that. Holy shit. Okay. And you're feeling all of those exciting feelings. You have that adrenaline going. You have that, all those good, endorphins flowing through you. You ground it and center it in you. Don't ground it and center it into the ground. Like, don't do like a grounding technique where you give it over to Mother Earth. You put that shit right in your core and you hold on to it. You pack it away in your heart center, your solar plexus. You're like, I fucking did this. And you pack it away. Okay. It's almost like a little trophy. Like, you're looking at it. You're like, yeah, I did that. Like, that is what you do with it. Okay. Give thanks. Breathe a sigh of relief. Give thanks to yourself, your deities, your higher self, whoever it is. For me, because I continued to do laps after this happened, the processional left. They'd only do like one loop and then they move on about their day. And so as I'm, doing more loops, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I am so grateful that I was able to recognize that this was a shift moment. I am so grateful that I set those intentions last night during my massage. I am so grateful that I recognized this was a shift. I faced it. I did it. I fucking tackled it. Fuck yes. Okay. Give thanks. Give thanks to whoever you want to give thanks to. But then you want to ground down into the truth that you just did this. That is a truth now for you that can calm your nervous system. And grounding into truths was what I talked about 2 episodes ago. I paved a pathway for me to talk about shifting identity today in this episode without knowing that I was paving a damn freaking yellow brick road to the goddamn wizard. Okay. I didn't even realize it, but now I shouldn't have admitted that. I should have been like, I planned this the whole time. I didn't. But this is divine intervention. This is what happens when you're living in the flow. This is what happens when I'm open to just receiving, like, all right, what am I supposed to do? And following it, listening and following. Okay. It's just, as I was writing things out, it was amazing to me where I was like, oh, you ground down your truths. Well, shit, I talked about that 2 episodes ago. And like, oh, you're creating like that safe space, that witchy home within inside. I'm like, well, talked about that last week. It blew my fucking mind. Anyway, then the next step, be aware moving forward and continue to make decisions as the new version of yourself. Okay. Have compassion as well. Understand that when you up level, when you upgrade, when you identity shift, you're a new person. You've never lived as this person in this reality before. Okay. So look at it from a state of curiosity, like, oh, all right, this is cool. Look at it with new eyes. You've never been this person in this place before. So view it from curiosity, view it from excitement for the new paths that are now going to be open to you. Like, you can see it as going up a level, and now you've got all these doors that you didn't even see when you were at the level before. Okay. So continue as you move forward, making decisions as the new version of yourself and understanding that you have never experienced the world like this before. Okay. Those are the tips I have as far as regulating to your new normal. You just continue to, when you're sent those love letters from, your next version, your next higher self, like, hey, are you still good with this? Are you still embodying this? You say yes. If you've already up leveled, there's no need in going back. Just move forward, like push forward. Continue to make those decisions as that person embodying that energy now that you worked so hard to get there. Okay. Identity shifting happens so much in your life. It happens unconsciously, so if you can become conscious of it and aware of it, then you are making the decision to do it. And then just that level of consciousness of acknowledging what you're doing and making it intentional makes it even more magical and even more powerful, and will actually amplify the chances that you won't backslide. Okay. But if you do backslide, just remember, like, go back to all that stuff that you shoved in there, be like, no, I remember when I did that thing and how good I felt. Oh my God, it's still in there. It's still in there. Okay. Let's tap back into that. That's why I say when you ground down in your truth and what you did, you ground it into you. You don't ground it into the ground. Okay. You don't give it away. You pack that shit up and put it inside of you because you might need to access it later. Okay. It does get easier. But it's only after you begin to recognize that you're in a shift state and you make that conscious decision to shift. That's how it gets easier. Okay. That's how it gets, quicker, and again, you can always say no. That is another thing that, like, if you are not ready for that shift, you can always check no. Just understand that if you are meant to shift that or shift yourself into that version, it's going to happen one way or another. It really is. It's going to force its way out, or you can choose to do it. Okay. So that's what I have for you all today. That is my episode. Ooh, super long one today. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I was able to pitch this idea to you in a very relatable way. One where you're like, oh, hell yeah, I want to embrace and take control of my identity shifting or make it happen, on a conscious level. So in this week's Patreon bonus content, I will be expanding more on how I view for versions of self, time, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm going to go on time travel. I'm just going to say it there. I'm going to go into time travel and the Patreon bonus stuff. Again, y'all are definitely, I'm telling you, Feral Morgan, there's no curtains anymore. There's no, wizard behind the curtain. There's just me. I'm here. And yeah, there's crazy shit that goes on in my crazy brain. I love it. So Patreon members, it is the paid members, but even with just the $5 tier, you get access to the extra content. You also get a shout out on my podcast. So I want to say thank you to my 2 new members this week. Terry, thank you for joining. And Tara, thank you for being paid Patreon members. You can head to patreon.com/inkedgoddesscreations. I think the reason that the other one came out is it's been a while since I've actually pitched the coven on here. If you enjoy my vibe, the way that I teach, the way that I give information, this is what I do in the Ink Spirit Coven. We're in the middle of transitioning over to off of Facebook. And so things are about to explode, to be honest. Everything's going to be together and cohesive, but I'm still wanting people to join, while we're in this transitional period. But this is where I teach a lesson and a workshop every month. We have a sacred space. The community, you know what? I'm going to say it. The community is full of feral witches already. I love these people. Oh my gosh. They're so supportive of one another. They're such an amazing group. We're always learning from each other. Even though I'm the one teaching lessons and holding workshops, I learn so much from them too. But it's an online coven for eclectic witches, feral witches too, if you identify as a feral witch. But yeah, if you vibe with me, then you would vibe with us. So definitely head to inkedspirit.com to learn more and join us. And then I would say, so I'm pitching this too, because I just happened to see a Reddit thread that was completely incorrect about witchy subscription boxes and how they're just full of junk that companies are trying to get rid of. And I was like, oh, that is spoken from somebody who got hurt by a witchy subscription box in the past. We have an Ink Goddess Creations box. This month's theme is, if you're listening to this, so May 2025's theme is Sacred Waters. We spend a lot of time curating the box, a lot of time planning it, carefully picking out brand new products for the box, either curating them or creating them specifically for the box. So definitely want to let you all know, because even the Reddit thread itself threw me off, because someone was like, hey, I'm looking for kind of like a subscription box for witches. Does that exist? And I'm like, oh, honey, yes, ma'am. Come see us. So I didn't realize that a lot of people don't know that witchy subscription boxes do exist. We've been around since 2016. Our box has. So what is that, 9 years now? Holy shit. Yeah. No, we're pretty damn good. So you should come see us. That is at inkedgoddesscreations.com. You'll also see all the other fun gemstones, witchy supplies, mists, oils, altar tools, most of them designed by us. The gemstones aren't designed by us because those are designed by Mother Earth. But you know where I'm going with that. Anyway, that's at inkgoddesscreations.com. You can learn about the Ink Goddess Creations box. You can learn about the coven there. You can learn about everything that we do because it's pretty fucking amazing. So I want to thank you all for being here, for being a listener. Please subscribe, rate, pass on to other people. I don't know how they say that. The kids on the YouTubes, they say it so easily. Like, share, subscribe. Isn't that it? Like, share, subscribe. Rate it though, if you're on Spotify. So that other magically curious people can find the podcast. And thank you for being here, for listening, for giving me a platform to be my feral self. And I will see you all next week. Bye. If you're looking for a magical community where you can just be yourself, check out my Ink Spirit Coven. The Coven is an online learning circle for eclectic witches who want to learn new witchcraft practices and how to easily incorporate magic into their daily lives, all while being supported on their personal spiritual journey. And you'll have me as your magical mentor, sharing my knowledge, answering questions, and facilitating the online community. Head to inkspirit.com to learn more and join. And if unique witchcraft supplies made by witches for witches is just what you need, head to my store, inkgoddesscreations.com, to see what we have to enhance your magical practice. We also have the Ink Goddess Creations box, a monthly subscription of magic mail filled with exclusive items that fit a magical theme. Head to the site to see this month's theme and sneak peeks.